तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which is the English translation of Sri Ramakrishna Kathāmrita, the translator being Swami Vivekananda ji. And we are in the second day's conversation, and after the preliminary discussion, we have come to the point where M has humbly asked Sri Ramakrishna the question, "Sir, how to fix the mind in God?" Yesterday we saw that this should be separated from the previous. Previous should end in "Yes, sir." That is Thakur telling about God has made arrangement for all types of worship, how the mother cooks fish in 5 different ways for 5 different children, because of their taste and capacity. And then Master Masha has become very humble. He has understood that I do not know anything about life. Point number 1. Point number 2, all the solutions to my family problems will only be from my side. And if I am able to put my mind in God, then only I will find solutions, not otherwise. And I never thought of that before. And he seems to be the master. He knows everything. He is kind enough towards me. And so it is only by his instruction that I can succeed in my life, or I can do something in my life. That is the meaning of the word humbly. So humbly he asked how to fix the mind in God. And how means what should I do to fix my mind in God? What you should do? So Sri Ramakrishna has given 6 instructions of what you should do. And we saw yesterday some of them. First is, we made into first A and B. Repeat God's name and sing his glories. And we should add one word here, always. Because Sri Ramakrishna's teaching here are very practical. What can be done always, he tells always. And what cannot be done always, he said now and then. Very clearly marked. So this thing he has told us to do always. Now several questions will come. Shall we not sleep? Okay, you sleep. Shall we not do anything else? Shall we not eat? Shall we not breathe? Do. Then what is always? From your side, you should not fix that I will take the name of God in the morning and evening. I will take the name of God sometimes. So from your side, do not put any limit to the time when you take the name of God. But we are asked to do in the morning and evening, at least. So, always. And we shall find, yesterday I took an example, that if we have this intent that I want to do always, when it is not possible, what can you do? But if you have this intent, then the name of God will enter so deep that even in sleep you will take, because in unconscious state, Swami Nityananda was taking. So sleep is nothing before that. And while you are doing work, definitely it will go on. So for that it requires intent that I want to do always. So that was the 1A, name of God. And then, and he has not prescribed any particular name. So, any name of God. And we took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's shloka for that purpose. Namna makari bahuda, nija sarva shakti tatrarpita, smarane na kalam. You have made many your own names, and you have put all your power in every one of those names. And you have not fixed that such and such time should be prescribed for taking the name. And then when we sing his glories. So first thing we notice is, sing is not always music, because everybody does not know how to sing. So feelingful utterance is singing. There should be feeling in that utterance. That becomes singing. And glories of God, that is characteristics of God, qualities of God, that God is the creator, preserver and destroyer of this world. We saw yesterday that Shiva Mahimna Stotra, that God's glories are infinite. So that was 1B, always. Then point number 2 was that you should mix, you should keep holy company now and then, because you are a householder. You don't have to run away. But now and then, and holy company again, Thakur divided into 2 parts, 2A and 2B. Devotees of God and holy men, that is sannyasis, sadhus, vairagis. Why? Because spiritual life requires these 2 forces. From the devotees you will learn love for God, and from the sannyasis you will learn vairagyam, renunciation. And real renunciation always has devotion. And real devotion always has renunciation. But there are the specialities. the devotees emphasize on devotion. Sannyasis emphasize on renunciation. And we should have both these sanskaras for development. Here I remember apparently a very funny incident, anecdote. My Guruji was talking to some householder. And he talked for about 15-20 minutes. And then he said, have you understood what I told you? Anurag and Virag. I can't remember at this point which he said first. Virag or Anurag. And then he says, understood. Anurag and Virag. Understood. Virag and Anurag. Understood. Anurag and Virag. So what I understood from that? One of the two has to utter first. But that does not mean that this has more importance than that. So, Virag and Anurag, Anurag and Virag. But then this becomes first. So, Virag and Anurag. So, this repetition on reversal of orders made such a strong impression in the listener that he has to develop both the qualities equally emphatic. So here, apparently very funny. Here, Sri Ramakrishna says, keep holy company, that is devotees of God and holy men, sadhus. That is the second instruction. And then a practical hint there that if always you remain in worldliness and worldly duties, always, then you cannot put your mind in God. And then instruction number 3. So, now and then, you have to go to a secluded place, different from holy company. Secluded place, seclusion. You cut yourself off from everybody else and think of God. There again he says, if it is mixed, always, then you cannot think of God. So that was the instruction number 3. Then 4th, what happened in English translation? This in seclusion, think of God or contemplate on God has been translated into meditate on God. So, referring to that meditation, the 4th instruction was to meditate. You should withdraw within yourself or retire to a secluded corner or to the forest. In Bengali, dhyan korbe mane kone vane. Now, we should not forget here. You should meditate. Then where and all that. So the 4th instruction is you should meditate. Now you may say, Master is yet to be a beginner. So a beginner may ask, what is meditation? Though M has not asked that. Because he was a member of Brahma Samaj, you might have heard something. So at this point, I feel we should once think what is meditation. Because people generally equate meditation with concentration. Meditation is not concentration only. And I have seen people going to such foolish extent. One of our Swamis, he had to leave the order later on. I attended one of his sessions. Meditate on the fan, meditate on the table, meditate on the chair, like that. So what is meditation? So that you will be able to fix your mind in God. So now, independently of what Thakur meant to Master Mashai, because Master Mashai has not asked how to meditate. So let us independently think what is meditation. And these days we have play like guided meditation. Play. Can you guide in one session 100 people how to meditate? So, to my understanding, meditation has three factors. Four also that we shall see later on. First of all, meditation contains knowledge. We do not know God as yet, but what is called dharana or conceptual knowledge. We must have some concept to hold on to. According to Vedanta and according to Patanjali Yoga, dharana develops into dhyana. So what is this dharana? I am not using Patanjali's dharana now. Concept. And this concept again has 2-3 elements. First is the nature of God. Now the nature of God will come gradually by Guru's teaching and Shastra teachings. But because we are independently thinking, we can think of it. And as Thakur talked, Nirakar and Sakar. So God is both Nirgun and Sagun. God is beyond this world and God pervades this world. That is the fundamental nature of God. The second is the form of God. And there are 3 types of forms of God, let me tell you. Divine forms, human forms, and without form. There are 3 types of forms. Divine forms, that is, they live in heaven. That is Durga, Kali, Shiva, Vishnu. Second type of forms are Ganpati, Shiva, whatever. Second type of forms, the human forms, which are incarnations. Ramachandra, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramakrishna, Jesus, Buddha. Unless, according to your instinct or suitably, you take one of these forms, you cannot fix your mind on God. And you have choice. And the third type, as I said, is this Nirakar. Now let me explain how Nirakar is a form. What is the idea of Niraka? He is all pervading, like a sky. So sky is a form, like the infinite ocean. So water is a form. It is the unspecified form. That means from clay we made so many images. There was a lump of clay before we made all the images, and that lump has no form. Lump has no specified form. And that is why Sri Ramakrishna equated meditation on God with forms or without forms. So that is the third type of form, whichever suits you. And there is a third element important. Your relationship with God. Because through all this, we have to change ourselves. So God is my father, all right. But it means you are God's son. God is my mother. You are God's son, son of the mother. And these relations are infinite. God is my child. God is my friend. God is my beloved. God is my darling girl. That is what the Sufis do. Madhurva in the reverse order. Or there is a peaceful relation with God. And the Gita tells us, yesterday we discussed that God is my grandfather. God is my sustainer. God is my being. This is also a relation. These three make dharana. Now, automatically or dhyan ideally must contain bhakti. Pull to God. Pull. If I am God's child, will I not get pulled towards God? If I am God's friend, will I not get pulled towards God? Without this pull, there is no meditation. Now, in spite of knowledge and pull, bhakti, the mind is such that it wavers. And there comes this third force, will, concentrate. The mind tries to run away, bring it back with knowledge and devotion. So there lies the power to concentrate. Otherwise, concentrate on this object, that object. Then concentration on mathematics, concentration on science, all that will be meditation. Now the question may come that we know there are four paths. And we have connected meditation with Jnana Bhakti and Rajoga. What about karma? In the beginning of 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan and the commentator Shankaracharya both have emphasized, unless you do holy work, unless you do unselfish work, your mind will not be ready to meditate. And for example, I say, All the monks and brahmacharis of Ramakrishna Mission are the examples of this. And that is what Shankaracharya says, that dhyan is the inner part of sadhana, of which the outer part is unselfish work. And he repeats from the order, if outer part is work, inner part of that is dhyan. That means without dhyan, work cannot be done properly. So that is the general connection. So this is meditation. Now let me give some examples. Swami Pitambarananda emphasized Karma Yoga. After his passing away, some young boys came to join Sri Ramakrishna Mission, and they were arguing with Swami Brahmananda and Swami Sarada. We are Swami Vivekananda's disciple. We will do work. We do not require meditation. Brahman Swami told, you have not seen Vivekananda. In his time, early morning used to go to shrine and meditate, and everybody was expected, it was a rule, that you should go and sit with him. And you cannot get up unless he gets up. And he would never get up before 2 hours or 2 hours and a half. So I have not seen Vivekananda, you are talking. Same prasanga with Swami Saradananda. They told him, we do work, we do not require meditation. Swami Saradananda told them, Karma yogi rato dhyana ache. A Karma yogi also requires meditation. And he prescribed morning meditation and evening meditation. Morning meditation means concentrate, a prayerful attitude towards God to make you an instrument in His hand. That is the morning meditation. Intensely. Then you will be able to do karma. And evening meditation means introspection. Whole day did you work as His instrument, or your passions came and ego came? And if that happens, what to do? Make a prayer, make a resolve that tomorrow will be better. And in that connection, some people have a habit of writing the diary. Not diary like Master Mashana. One's own observation about oneself. Now this exactly tallies with the 4th chapter of the Gita. Karmani akarmaya pasyada karmani cha karmaya. So Karma Yoga also requires meditation. Let me add here, if we are Karma Yogis by following Vivekananda, we should read his book Karma Yoga. And there he has talked about all these things. So, going back to Thakur, meditate. Somewhere or the other. Somewhere or the other. And you must regularly. Here Thakur neither says always, neither says now and then. But he says meditate in your mind, in a corner or in the forest. So up to this, we had read yesterday. Now comes the fifth instruction, and that may shock the householders out of their breath. And we remember here, Thakur is talking to Mahendranāth Gupta and already has known that he has married and he has children and he has not to run away, that like Pratap's brother. And to such a person, Thakur is talking pure Vedanta. Now and no. Always. There always. So you come to that point now. And you should always discriminate between the real and the unreal. Sat Asat Vichar, which is the basis of Vedanta, to the householder with children. And he explains what is real and what is unreal. God alone is real. The eternal substance. Now, substance is not very happy because in many philosophies, there is substance and qualities. Nitya Vastu, real, eternal, unchanging. Nitya means unchangingly eternal. Because there is a pravaha rupena nitya. That means water flows and still we call it Ganges. The earth goes on changing and still we call it permanent. Not that type. Nitya means unchangingly permanent. God. And all else is unreal. All else. That means mother, father, house, property, everything is unreal. That is impermanent. Now, impermanent is a very weak word. Anitya. Anitya means changing. Changing. Now, here I have to explain certain things because some serious devotees told me the difference between Shankaracharya and Sri Ramakrishna, where there is no difference. That Shankaracharya always talks of real and unreal. And Thakur talks of permanent and non-permanent. But here we find Thakur equating the two. He has talked of real and unreal. Now, what is the relation? That is the translation. Bengali, Kina. Sat Kina Nitya. Asat Kina Anitya. That means, try to understand this deeply. Sat and Asat is the real nature of God and the world. Everything other than God. But it is very difficult to conceive like that for a vast majority of people. Unreal, they will operate. Some Swami told me, I remember one funny incident. This big world Only for the sake of logical congruity, Shankar removes all that. So let us think a little deeply. And if you want a name, I will call it Buddhistic analytic logic. When will be a thing permanent? When it does not change. Even the slightest change will not allow it to be permanent. And this we can observe, everybody in the world can observe. Of course, he has not seen God. But the very concept, you want to put your mind in God. So God is something which is unchangingly permanent. Now think of the world. Changing every moment. Now tell me, if a thing is changing every moment, what to call a thing? Tell me. Understood? Now we say this is a table. This table is not the same which existed 1 second before. Not the same table which was there 1 day before, 1 year before. A continuity of change, that is the world. Then which you call table? That which was yesterday or that which is today? You, from physical point of view. The doctors say that after 12 years, not a single old cell remains in man's body. Not that after 12 years, suddenly there is a jump, but changing every moment. So what is you? A lump of flesh came out from the mother's womb. And it has been changing continuously since then. But people called you Hari or Rama or something. So that gave an idea of the continuity. He is Rama, he is Hari. Though changing every moment. And changing every moment, if a man is peaceful enough, he can observe. He can conceive. He should conceive. That is what Thakur is saying. So that is unreal. Unreal, that is changing. So that is changing means non-changing God, changing everything else. This you can observe. And once you observe that, this everything changing is unreal. That is what Thakur is feeling. Real and unreal is the real meaning. But difficult to conceive the world is unreal. Much easier if a man is sincere to think of God as the unchanging eternal. And everything else is changing so unreal. You can, kina can be put, that is so unreal. Unreal because changing. So that is the relation between real and in Shankaracharya and Vedanta, many places we find this word Nitya or Anitya. And Thakur is asking an householder with children to always discriminate between the real and the unreal. And is defining it himself. God alone is real because he is unchanging. Everything else is unreal as it is changing, impermanent. This is the instruction number 5, and he is asking every master to do is always. So this always means an undercurrent should be there always. You are dealing with the world, knowing that it is unreal. And now the 6th is still more shocking. By discriminating thus, one should shake off impermanent objects from the mind. We can change this word objects. Whatever is unreal. Whatever is unreal should be removed from your mind, mentally renounced. Now, this is the point of difference between householders and sannyasis. Thakur knows he is talking to the householder. A sannyasi will renounce from outside also. A householder will not be able to give up from outside, but mentally remove. Let it not stand in your mind. Now people say, by reading gospel, what is the first impression? Oh, God relation very easy. And when we seriously ponder, we'll find it is very difficult. Now what is difficult? Less or more? Let us think. People generally ask what is the easy path. What is easy in life? Holy Mother has told us. Water flowing down is the easy thing, only easy thing in life. In Sanskrit and many Indian languages, we have a word for this. Pravahapatita. In English, drifting. Drifting is very easy. Spiritual progress is less easy, less difficult, more difficult. And Thakur has made everything less difficult. And if you can achieve that less difficult, then that more difficult becomes less difficult. There is nothing impossible, there is nothing easy. Effort is there. But what Thakur has told, if you see, it's very easy. What is difficult? That means we can do it. But we have to do it. Because Master Mahasaya has asked a simple question, how to fix the mind in God? If we are serious about fixing the mind in God, we have to follow these 6 instructions of Thakur. Now, Master Mahasaya does not say yes sir or no sir here. But he puts another question. And the placing of this question is most important. Let us think, visualize what has happened in Master's mind now. Thakur has told one thing in between, that if always worldliness are, then you cannot fix the mind on God. And Master Maharaj has asked very seriously the question, and he has listened equally seriously. So he starts introspecting at that point. We see some such thing in Great Master about Girish Chandra. What is that thing? That is the source of the second question. We must understand the connection. Master Maharaj has immediately introspected. The way I live today in the world, these things are not possible. None of these things are possible if I continue to live in the world as I am doing. On the other hand, by that Pratap's brother, Thakur does not ask him to go away from the house or keep the duties. So, understood? Master's second question. Humbly, that also humbly. Because he finds it difficult. And he finds that Sri Ramakrishna can give answer. Humbly, how ought we to live in the world? How ought we to live in the world? Now compare this with other householders. The order of the question placing and the question. Generally the householders ask, and in the gospel, many times the householders will ask, living in the household, can we realize God? Living in the household, can we have bhakti? Now analyze their questions. Suppose the answer is no, you cannot. Then we do not want God because we have to live in the house. And suppose the answer is yes, okay, then it will come somehow. But that is not the Master's question. First, he has not talked about household. He has understood that unless I fix my mind in God, my household problems are not going to get solved. So the first question is how to fix the mind on God. And getting Thakur's reply and trying to apply it to his own life, he finds it very difficult. Impossible. But Thakur has told that. So there will be some method, what we call lifestyle. Lifestyle, not what we dress and all that, but the attitude of mind in living the life. So that is the placing of the second question. Sir, how should we live in the world? So that what we are told as answer to the first question can be carried out. That is the placing of the second question. Always take the name of God, meditate, and company, seclusion, and Always discriminate and remove those things from your mind. So the second question. Now we shall see that Thakur repeats many of the answers to the first question there in the reply, but with some original thought. So, Master, do all your duties. You have to remain in the world. Do all your duties. Do everything as his duties. Do that which is your duties. Don't get involved in many other things. Do all your duties. But keep your mind on God. So I asked how to fix the mind on God. So, but that means that should be primary. And not at the cost of duties. And duty is not at the cost of forgetting God. So do all your duties, but keep your mind on God. Then duties, live with all, with wife and children, father and mother. This is the old Indian style. And Master was living like that. Though his own mother had passed away and there is a stepmother. In the West, you know the funny idea. Swami Pitambarananda has told us a proverb in English. A son is a son till he gets a wife. A daughter is a daughter all her life. So we find the mother-in-law and father-in-law, mother-in-law especially, going and staying with her daughter. And son, when he gets a wife, he lives separately. So a son is a son till he gets a wife. A daughter is a daughter all her life. Now the Indian tradition is different. So, live with all, with wife and children, father and mother, and serve them. Do your duty means to serve them. That should be the idea. Owner of the house, but his idea should be to serve them. And this we find best illustrated in Thakur's disciple Balram Basu. For the visitors, he would never appear to be the owner of the house, he would appear to be a servant. Treat them as if they were very dear to you. As if. As if means they are not dear to you. As if they are dear to you. But know in your heart of hearts, two expressions, no. No. Treat, think, no. And heart of hearts. Heart of hearts means inner core of the heart. There the knowledge exists. Know that they do not belong to you. Belonging, mine, should not be there. And yet you have to serve them. Easy? Yes. তা তোমার কেউ নয় তা তোমার কেউ নয় that is they do not belong to you, that's all right, but they are not yours. Then are they strangers? They are gods. They belong to God. That is given in the next line. A maid servant in the house of a rich man. Master Masha is a male member. And Thakur is giving the example of a maid servant. In the house of a rich man. But you are living in your own house. So is the rich man here?
The answer is
I will give the answer through another anecdote. Mahapurush Maharaj, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, had gone to Dhaka, Bangladesh. And many rich devotees would invite him to their house and serve him and all. There was a poor man, homeopathy doctor, Dr. Chakladar. He had a keen desire to take Mahapurush Maharaj to his room and serve him. But contraction so much that I am a poor man. So he asked Mahapurush Maharaj in a funny way, Maharaj, you do not go to poor houses, na? Like that he asked. And Mahapurush Maharaj with equal seriousness said, no, we do not go to poor man's house. So he becomes disappointed, goes back to his house. And next day, early morning, he is not yet got up. And there is a knock on the door. Chakladar, Chakladar. He opens his door and he finds Mahapurush Maharaj standing there. And then Mahapurush Maharaj is asking a question. Whose house is this? My house. No, we do not go to poor man's houses. This is Thakur's house. That is why we have come here. Now understand the rich man? God's house. And God is the richest man. Nobody can compare with his richness. Maid servant in a rich man's house. Why maid servant? We shall see. A maid servant in the house of a rich man performs all the household duties, but her thoughts are fixed on her own home in her native village. She brings up her master's children as if they were her own. She even speaks of them as my Rama or as my Hari. But in her own mind, she knows very well, that they do not belong to her at all. Like this, rich man's house. So everything belongs to that rich man, to God. And they are as if they are dear to you because they are gods. They are not strangers. They are gods. So they are as if dear to you. And you serve them. That should be the attitude. Serve. Wife, children, father, mother, serve. And know that they do not belong to you. Very easy, no? So, Master asked the question that if I have to follow what you have told me, how to fix the mind on God. The way I live in the world will not do. And so he asked how to live in the world. And first instruction is this. Then many examples. The tortoise moves about in the water. But can you guess where her thoughts are? They're on the bank where her eggs are lying. That is hers. Moves in the water. Do all your duties in the world, but keep your mind on God. If you enter the world without first cultivating love for this, will take tomorrow. So very gradually, seriously, analytically, as much as we can understand, we have to listen and follow these instructions of chapter. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.